Hi guys, it's Jonah here with Range Road. I've got a 26-inch mill with me here today, and I figured we'd go over the procedure for removing and replacing the blade and the belt. Okay, so the first step is we're just going to go ahead and open the doors here, just to expose the wheels and the blade. The first step in removing the blade is over here. We got to loosen this bolt here. There's a nut underneath here. And we got to loosen that, and then that'll allow us to actually take the tension off the blade. Now we just have to make sure that the nut under here is loose. We don't have to remove the nut. This is the arm that tensions the wheel in here. So with this loosened off, loosen off the jam nut here. You can go ahead and back this bolt almost all the way out. We don't want to remove it, but we want it to be very loose. Okay, now we have the wheel loose. You can see it's quite easy to move here. And the tension's taken off of our blade now, so we can just carefully pull it off the wheel. And then pull it right out of the machine. Being extra careful, it's very sharp. And there we go. Now that we have our blade removed, we're going to go ahead and remove our belt here. And then we'll go ahead and install it right afterwards. Back here at the engine, all we have to do, there's 4 bolts that hold the engine to the blue metal plate here. All we need to do is loosen these bolts, and then we can actually move the engine left or towards this wheel over here, and that's going to take all the tension off our belt. We can go ahead and just kind of push it towards that side a little bit, and then go back to the front of the sawmill. And you can see right away that there's lots of slack on our belt, so it's just as easy as pulling outwards, spinning it, and it comes right off just like that. Okay, I've got our new belt here, and we're going to go ahead and install it on here. So I like to just put it on the big wheel first. It's in the groove there. You can run it over the wheel here, and just kind of spin everything, and just like that. Pops on. And now we can go ahead and move our engine back over and tension the belt. The way that we're going to do that is we're going to grab a bar, something similar to this, and we're just going to insert it between this bolt head and the metal bracket right here. It just fits right in there, and then you can just kind of pull on it, and you see the engine move there. And that's actually all the tension we're going to need on the belt. So now you can just go ahead and tighten these bolts up on the corner of the engine. And then after we do that, we'll go to our belt and verify that it is tight enough. So we've got our tension on our belt now. You can see it's got about 1/2 inch of deflection, a little bit more, which is going to do just fine for what we need. So I'd say that belt is installed and ready to go. Just make sure your engine is parallel to your head, and you should be all right. Okay, we've got our new blade here. We're going to go ahead and install it on here. Grab it in the middle. Keeping in mind that the bottom side of the blade, the teeth should be facing this direction. Slide it over one wheel first, kind of get it situated over the other wheel, get it in the guides at the same time. Now, there should be lots of slack on this wheel, so it should be fairly easy to get it in place. Now we just need to work on centering this wheel, and then we'll tension the blade. So we'll go back to behind the head here. Here, we're actually going to adjust this bolt first. And what this does is it actually changes the angle of the wheel up front here. And we want to make sure that the wheel is running true to the other wheel. So before we tension the blade, we'll make sure the wheel is straight. So I'll go ahead and just start adjusting this now. And as you're turning this in, you can actually physically see the wheel up here move in and out. So now once you've got the wheel adjusted with this bolt to what seems to be the flat position or even with the other wheel, then we can go ahead and then start to put some tension on our blade. We're just going to turn this until you feel some resistance. We'll grab our torque wrench, which is preset to 28 foot-pounds, and we'll just go ahead and tighten it. So I've just done my adjustment on this wheel here with my bolt back behind here. I'm just going to use my straight edge, which is the level in this case, put it against the wheel, and then see how it lines up with this wheel. And it's nice and flat across all the surfaces. So I do believe I've got my wheel nice and true. And now that I'm over here, I also want to make sure that my blade is sitting properly on my wheel. So up here, my teeth are actually quite a ways in, and I do want them outside of the wheel, like the bottom here. So you can just go ahead with some gloves and just put your fingers behind the blade and just push it out. And you just want the back of the blade pretty well flush with the back of the wheel. Just go ahead and do the same thing to this wheel. And now that our blade is sitting properly on our wheels and we have our wheel adjusted properly, now we can go ahead and put some tension on the blade. All right, to tension up the blade, I'm just going to turn this until you take up the slack. And then I'll grab my torque wrench, preset to 28 foot-pounds. Just go ahead and tighten it. There we go, that's 28 foot-pounds. So we'll just go and double check our blade position again on the wheels, because it's very important that those are sitting properly. So I'm just going to turn it counterclockwise, and I'm just watching the blade to make sure it's running true through the guides here, it's not moving forward, and it's staying properly lined up on the wheels as well. You want to be very sure that your blade is installed correctly before you start it, because you don't want it to come off with the engine running. So everything looks good here. My blade is in good position. It's in the guides all the way on both of them. Everything looks great. So now we can go ahead, go back behind here, tighten up our jam nut, and then we can go ahead and close up the front and start it up. Tighten up this jam nut to lock this bolt into place, and then we can go ahead and tighten up this bolt right here, which will lock our belt tension into place. Blade tension, sorry. So now that we have our blade tensioned and everything's locked up back here, it's always a good idea just to turn the blade over by hand one more time, make sure everything's running true, and once you're satisfied, then you can go ahead, close it up, and start up the unit, and enjoy your new blade and your new belt. If you have any questions or need further assistance, you can reach out to us at range-road.ca under the Contact Us section.